Hello and welcome to another vlog by Danny the Digger, and this time I'm at a very interesting site that presents the material culture of the Philistines. I am in the heart of Kibbutz Revadim, just 1 mile west of Ekron. The biblical Philistine city of Ekron is where quite a lot of the finds presented here were discovered. And this site, called the Philistine Street, is presenting some of these items and the biblical context of these discoveries. Starting here with some bases of columns. Bases of columns which were originally found in a Philistine temple up in Ekron. This could have been part of a temple like the one that is described in the story of Samson shaking the foundation of a temple in Gaza. It's not the same site, but maybe it's the same architecture. And in the back, you have here a demonstration of what some of the Philistine associated burials used to look like. Such discoveries were made in Bet Shean and also in Gaza, where the people would be buried in clay anthropomorphic coffins, which seem to resemble the Egyptian burial style, but this is attributed to the Philistines. Let's see what else is around the corner here. Okay, here you have a model demonstrating what a plow used to look like in biblical times. Obviously the wooden parts are reconstructed, but the metal part, that is the plow itself, such an element was found in the excavations of biblical Ekron. The most interesting part, in my opinion at least, at the site of Ekron are the evidence of two religious structures, two temples that were discovered at the site. This is presenting a corner of one of the temples, Temple 350, including some replicas of clay items that were found in this building. These are not ordinary cups for having some chicken soup. These are items that were related to the Philistine religious practice, of which I have to admit we don't know much about. The Bible tells us about a Philistine god of Dagon in the city of Ashdod. It tells us of a Philistine god of Baal Zvuv in the city of Ekron itself. What's quite interesting is the fact that the Bible tells us that the Philistines also had the Ark of the Covenant taken to Ekron, except that after it caused a plague in Ashdod and in Gat, the people of Ekron would not put it in their temple, but had it left in the fields outside the city. And eventually they created a carriage that would carry it back to the Israelites in the city of Bet Shemesh. And for the review of Bet Shemesh and the Ark of the Covenant returning to the Israelites at Bet Shemesh, follow me for my next vlog. But let's complete the review of the material culture of the Philistines as presented here. This room is presenting the way that Philistine pottery was made, which was like any other pottery at the time, meaning it was made by clay put in on a wheel that would be twisted to give it that nice symmetrical shape, as well as the decoration. Some of the decoration was painted by hand. One of the more popular features in Philistine pottery is the image of a bird. And sometimes it would just be geometric or plain straight lines implemented as the pot was twisting on the potter's wheel. The Philistines were also involved in making textiles. We know so because we have found these vats which were used for dyeing the textile. I see that someone actually put here some textile. And we also found evidence for this industry in the form of little perforated stones, little stones with holes in them. At first, the archaeologists didn't know what to make of them. And when you don't know what to make of something, you say, oh, this must be part of some religious behavior. Today, there is no doubt that they were all related to weaving. These were weights of a loom, like the one presented here. And it's interesting to note that when the Bible describes the armor of Goliath the Philistine, it tells us that the top of his spear was like an element of a loom weight, the weaver's rod. Now, being a city in the low Judean hills, the main industry, as was evident by the discovery of over 100 olive presses, was the big industry of making olive oil. Yes, all of this region was probably covered with groves of olive trees, and in the season they would all be harvested, placed inside this vat, which is now filled by water because it just rained recently, but originally it would be filled with the olives that are squashed through this round stone and then placed against the press. That squash would be placed inside those baskets, and this wooden rod would be attached to stone weights here. And these stone weights would create a force of about half a ton, which would squeeze and squeeze and squeeze the liquids of the olives, which would all be collected in these vats. And how do you get the oil out of the water? You just let it float on the top, as is seen in this bottle. This is the final product, which was worth a lot of money, and especially not for perfumes or for adding some flavor to your salad. It was for lighting the oil lamps. Yes, if you want to find your way in the dark in biblical times, electricity and light bulbs are not an option. You better have an oil lamp with some olive oil handy. Yes, the Bible was probably compiled by scribes sitting at night and combining many traditions, weaving it into this greatest manuscript made by mankind, the most selling book in the history of mankind, the Bible. And here we can see a little corner presenting both Philistine pottery that relates to olive oil production and a very peculiar looking altar. An altar that was often found in the olive presses to bless the gods for the fertility of the land. But notice how this altar has only 2 horns. When this was first found, it was believed to be an accident or something unique. Now that we have a few of them, we know that this is apparently a Philistine pattern of having 2 horned altars. What else do we have here? Some more stone vats that probably relate either to olive oil production. Here is a nice olive tree, but without any fruit. And local pine trees. Unfortunately, the site itself, where all of this came from, has been all covered up. So today, there's no point in going to the site itself. But this site, called the Philistine Street in Kibbutz Revadim, made by kibbutz member Natan Idlin, is a great demonstration for the Philistines and their material culture. And the most fascinating story that relates to the site is the story of the ark again. And if you want to hear more about the ark, its return to the Israelites, the plague it caused in Bet Shemesh, and it's sent to Kiryat Yarim, make sure to click like, subscribe, and follow me for the next vlog. So long for now.